17th, 2017. And did everybody kind of go over the minutes from 2019?
So this is
Or-
from last.
November?
From November, I meant.
This is from the last meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so
I had to read all of them.
Yeah.
the insurance jumped way high from the year before. Wow. I had no idea.
Good question for Nancy.
Yeah.
Why the
Okay.
insurance, we don't know. They, all them numbers get plugged in, through that.
Is that like general insurance,
I have no idea.
Okay.
Oh, it's the work comp
I'll ask
everything.
Work comp and
Oh,
all and all
okay.
that.
All right. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Good, good.
Yeah, I'm okay.
All
I'm good.
right. Do we have an approval to approve November 2018 minutes?
I'll motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Minutes approved. Down to new business.
Okay, new business, Tree City USA, applications for our 40th consecutive year is in the process. I need to get that sent in by December 31st. I'm thinking hopefully by Friday or next Tuesday, hopefully before Christmas, whatever, I have that completed. Next month in January, I'll bring in the forestry expenses and stuff that was spent last year. That's all part of the whole application process and what we did spend, from tree work to anything involved in forestry. So I'll bring all that stuff in next January. But I'll be sending that application in, and hopefully it will be our 40th year.
I'd like to make a note on the forestry division. Just that we should have a forestry division versus the park and rec, thank you.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, down to
2019.
down to Castle Aquatic Center employee.
I actually just got done meeting with Josh and Abby, whatever, Joseph, whatever. Spent the last couple hours meeting with them guys, talking about our 2020 year program. As of today, right now, we have 22 returning supervisors, WSIs, and lifeguards combined. We have 9 new applicants for lifeguards. We have 6 concession stand workers returning so far, and we also have 17 new concession stand applicants for the concession stand. So we have a total of 54. I gave the list to Josh, and there's some that were there last year that I don't think they're so involved in sports and stuff, they haven't reapplied. Maybe they thought that they didn't have to apply, but he's going to individually call some of these to get their apps in, so hopefully we'll be getting some of the WSIs and maybe some other lifeguards to reapply. Right now, I got probably one more opening for new concession, and that'll probably be it. So I won't probably accept any more applications. I'll accept them, but I got all the interviews all set up, sent the envelopes, sent the interviews, all should be coming here this week, probably tomorrow. They should probably be in the mail at your homes. And I got them all set up to go on December 23rd, on Monday, and then I skipped on Tuesday, and then I went back to Thursday on the 26th. And then on the 30th and 31st, so there'll be 4 days of interviews, close to around 30-something. So they're all 15-minute increment interviews, and so we can see all who's going to work up at the pool here for next year. My goal is to hopefully get 60. Hopefully there'll be 6 or so more of the people that worked last year. It's always good to have at least 60. It's on the scheduling part of the aquatic center, and plus it's always good to have people that have been there, worked there before, had some experience to do things. Looks like right now that I think Jared Johnson is the only supervisor that'll probably return. Abby is going to return, but she's going to be very limited. She's getting married this summer, and she's got a bunch of stuff for her new job and her schooling, and she won't be around very often. She will be here to do a lot of the help in the spring Jan will be gone for a couple months, comes March and April. And, so we're gonna need her help along with Josh. And, we decided today that Jan said that Amy's gonna learn a little bit, our front desk lady here, to help register, to do some registrations, that are gonna start coming in. I'll be putting all the stuff on the website beginning of February, to start registering for the pool stuff, memberships, da-da-da. And then the month of February and March and into April, Amy can do what she can do as far as registering, the registers to put into our system. And, most of the times, people wait till the last second, so there'll be an overabundance. And I decided tonight with Abby and Josh that we were gonna move our computers up May 1st up to the Aquatic Center, and Josh and Abby will do all the other registers beneath there. So, Amy will just have to worry about 3 months when she can work, and Josh and Abby, I said Amy, Josh and Abby are gonna be doing the rest of them up at the pool when they can do it. So, just a reminder, Jan, we'll need to put the internet all together out of silent mode, or out of what do they call it?
That's up year-round.
Winter mode or whatever?
That's
Yeah.
up year-round because of the
Oh,
solar panels.
okay. So that's kinda where we're gonna handle the registrations, 'cause I know Jan does a lot of work on registering these kids and going through things. So it's gonna be up to Josh and Abby and maybe a couple of the concession people that worked last year that already applied, and they felt really good that there's a couple, 2 or 3 of them are gonna be good enough to be able to help do this, so, tonight, so that part of it's gonna be a huge thing for us up at the pool. But basically, our Aquatic Center employees, hopefully, we should be set to go for another good year and go from there. Okay?
Good.
Alright, 2020 budget.
I'm gonna hand these out. This is our budget for this coming year, 2020. I highlighted a few things. You don't got them highlighted there, but I will go through them here really quick. I don't wanna spend much time on it, but I just wanted to give you some ideas. What's going on.
Ron, do you have any? There's an upstairs first. Yeah.
You did? Did you get one?
Yeah.
First of all, in years past, the council's always been very generous and very good for doing our budgets. And I have to say, this year again, they did an excellent job for our park department, and I thank them, as being the park and rec director, that they did a great job for us again. We didn't really go up with a lot of things this year compared to last year, and I'll just kind of point out the things that we're doing, just so you guys have an idea. First of all, first page, that's basically our money that we're expected, we figure that we're gonna bring in, revenue, okay, for the year. And that's hopefully, close to what we try to meet, and every year we're real close to that. And, so that's kind of projected, the first page, okay? The next page, general fund, is one thing I wanted to point out, is under the small tools, minor equipment, it's time for me to get a new computer, and, we put $1,000 in that. I've had the old computer back when I was at the old shop.
How they do.
It's time to get a new one, so, I'm gonna get a new computer upgrade. Playgrounds, just wanted to mention, we still stayed with the 3,000. We do get a load of wood fiber, and any maintenance, if swings are broke or whatever, that's where the money for the playground goes right now, okay? It's not the modulars. That comes out of the CIP plan, but that's just for the upkeep and maintenance, okay? The next page, is the Aquatic Center. Couple things I wanted to point out. Number one is the personnel for wages. As you can see, part-time up there at the pool, 145, it was 141.5 last year. We added around 38 $3,800, to it. Reason why, cost of living went up again, 14 cents. Minimum wage now for for concession people will be $10 an hour. And everybody else, to meet the criteria, gets 14 cents increase, and so I think, if I recall right, we got lifeguards at, I think it's $11.25, or $10.25, WSI is $11.25, supervisors at $13.50, and Josh is, I think, up to 18 something, 13 or something like that. So that's kinda what the wages did for the increase.
On that wage at $10 an hour, now it might be, it's probably different because if they're 18, it's $10, but they're under the age
Nope,
of 18.
we're a large employer.
Okay.
You're considered small, we're considered large. We have to go with mandated federal $10, state $10 an hour.
Across the board, even if
Yep.
you're 16, 15, or?
Yep, no matter what,
Okay.
yep.
That's the only thing I understood you could buy was it was a probationary training period, you could go over
Correct,
that.
correct.
But that's just a
Cause
probationary.
I'm a large employer too,
Yeah.
based on over the 500,000 large and small, but as I was talking to
You're supposed to be at $10 an hour, no matter what.
January 1st.
I talked to, I even
Okay,
talked.
I'll check with my payroll, cause they said if there's any, when they turn 18, it's up, it's 17 and below. You know, that wage went up. And I wonder if it's because of the city, if it's different than what mine.
Could be, otherwise, cause I know Linda would know, and she would say, well, we don't have to pay that.
Okay.
And I know that every year since we've done this, that we've given them the.
It seems to me every year you've done it, you've explained something where it's, my situation is different than
No,
the
no,
cities.
cities.
But, yeah, she said they're 18 and they're older, cause she said towards the next time their high school kids turn 18, so, but, I'll check into that on my side too, so.
Well, here's the deal too, Erdman's is, I'm sure, a large employer too, and they don't pay the $10 an hour. It's gotta be somebody possibly different with the city.
And that's my guess
Yeah.
too, so.
Okay.
I'll double check, it's good for you to.
Okay,
Okay.
then go down to the next line there, just this one, repairs and maintenance supplies is added, I added $2,000, to 14, just because we do have different repairs that happen during the year and stuff, and we wanna make sure, because that ends up being, towards the end of the year, a lot of the stuff that we end up repairing at the end of the year, we don't particularly do it in the beginning of the year, cause we have a lot of it done, but, you know, like our awnings and stuff like that gotta get repaired and sent to Waterloo, stuff like that, you just don't know, so that's what we did. Other than that, everything else is pretty much all set in stone. Just to let you guys know, down to the utility services. Me and Charlie are going through some stuff, and we might end up putting an energy audit on our meter up at the aquatic center, cause we believe that we're getting overcharged on electric at the aquatic center. Our PU come in and did a study with Todd 4 years ago, 2016, and said our meter was not times right. It went from like 10 times to a 50 times.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
And that was a huge difference, and I know other businesses in town also had the same thing happen. Not saying that it's not right, not wrong, I mean, it's, you know, but I feel when you start looking at the wastewater treatment plant of everything that's running out there every single day, and we have pumps that me and Charlie have figured out are not running at certain times of the day, and we're real close to the same amount of electricity that the wastewater treatment plant's
Wow.
running. And it's just a, kind of a red flag.
Mhm.
So,
Maybe I missed it.
Yep.
so what we're looking at is that maybe we might have to do an energy audit during the peak of the summer, like in July, and find out exactly what we're using for kilowatts, to find out. We're still using $500 worth of electricity in the winter time.
Really?
Yeah, and me and Charlie, like, he asked me, what's running? The only thing that's running is our security lights and a small little oil heater that we have enclosed in insulation that has a thermostat that kicks on and off. It ain't running all the time.
Mhm.
Everything else is off.
Uh-huh.
So, I just,
Something
just doesn't click right, so we're gonna look into it, because I know the council asked the new city administrator, that's one of his deals, is to look in for, at the pool, you know, ice arena, different buildings, just to see exactly where we're standing on budgets and how if we're getting the best bang for our dollars and what everything is. So, me and Charlie thought, not better way to start with utilities, first of all.
Mhm.
I mean, Jan does a great, I mean, our gas bill is our gas bill, we know that. But for that big change in electricity, not saying it's wrong, but it really make me feel better knowing that hey, it is right, it's the way it is.
Where do the solar panels come in on that?
Solar panels, I heard when I was told, when they put the company over in Pine Island put it in, them solar panels were actually put on there to actually help the lights during night when we have our security lights. It should pay for them security lights. It should generate enough money or revenue to be able to pay for at least that. And solar panels were expensive when they were put on there in the beginning. And I'm sure that we probably owe a lot more money on the panels before we're gonna get our money back in return, you know. But supposedly there should be enough power generated. Now, when we have snow, like we have right now, and all the panels are covered with snow, we're not getting anything out of that.
Yep.
Till them panels get cleared off or melted, and then it goes back into that thing. But like Jan said, it's on a 24/7, 365
Yeah.
days a year, okay? But if you drove by the aquatic center right now on the south side, usually it gets warm enough to melt the snow off, and it
Yeah.
gets, but right now they're all covered. Okay, so there's certain days we're not getting that power. Okay, but that's a good question, that's what they're doing there.
Even when they're running, I mean, it's still.
Well,
still
it's
getting
LED
that
lighting and it doesn't,
It doesn't cost us,
Doesn't
they're
cost
very
much
energy
at all,
efficient,
yeah.
exactly. So the $500, that's the thing that kinda threw a red flag at me and Charlie too, a little bit, you know, in the winter time up there. So, we're gonna look into it, and I'll get back to you, and if we have to do a, energy audit or something on that place, whatever, that's what we're gonna have to do.
that's powering an entire house or more,
Mm-hmm.
so that's,
So,
Something's not
something just
right.
doesn't seem right, so, anyway.
More than that, $500.
It's a lot of money.
That's like 3 months for me, so. I mean,
You know.
I didn't say whose house, but.
So anyway, we'll look into that. Other than that, everything for the pool looks pretty much the same as far as that goes.
Page 13, Ron, I just got a question.
Yes.
For the, second to bottom, the other services and charges, you have budgeted only 1,000 versus last year's.
Yep, I noticed that today too.
So it's probably a typo maybe?
It
'Cause
could be
your-
a typo.
Cause your actual for the last 3 months are 6, 8, and 4,000.
Right,
so.
exactly.
I mean, it's just a typo.
I noticed that tonight when I was putting this together, I looked at it, and I'll talk to, Nancy about that, because we do use that line for extra stuff,
Okay.
so, okay? Okay? Next page here, quick like, other rec facilities, just to let you know, we got another set of bleachers, which we need one more set in 2021, then all of our old bleachers are completely gone, and we're all up to date and coded, so we'll get one this year, and once January comes, we'll build it this winter, and then, we'll build one more in 2021, and then we're all good for outdoor bleachers, okay, at the fields, okay? Other than that, everything else is pretty much the same. Adult basketball, we didn't have it this year, of course. Our 27th for adult softball was good. We still are doing the joint rec fee, whatever, for the joint ventures, whatever. We put $10,000 into that, and then we do an additional $5,000 for ball field lighting, which was part of the deal. It's the second year of 5. So the ball field lights on the high school baseball field, we're giving them $5,000 for that, just to let you know, okay? In turn, you'll see in the CIP plan, they're gonna give us money back, so, but anyway, it's what it is. I just wanna point out too, $27,000 for a part-time parks person and manpower for $7,500 of that. What that is that's our 25 hour a person a week for the full year, and then we hire a man power person, to help do the mowing in the summer. Okay, and that's where that money's from, okay? Everything else on that next page, on 15, everything is fine. Everything still looks good as far as that goes. Forestry, everything is there. Cemetery, everything looks good there. Just to let you know, we do have Corey Olson gonna come out there this winter and take 5 old maples down. I think I've mentioned that before. And he will do that once after the first of the year. We got about 13 of them to take down, so we're gonna probably do, it's a 3-year program. We'll finally eventually get all them old maples that fall in and destroy some of our monuments and stuff, so. And by the way, the tree that did fall down and break the monuments, the League of Minnesota Cities did cover that. So all the damages and stuff was paid for from the league. We had a $500 deductible, Jan? So it cost us $500, but the expense, I think, was $2,000 bucks. I think it was $1,800 and something to repair the monuments, whatever. So anyway, we got that. And then I know this is off the subject here a little bit, but just to let you know, the league also got a hold of me. They are gonna cover our roof. I just talked to Mike, last Thursday from the League of Minnesota Cities, so our $14,800 roof replacement on our park maintenance shop is approved. So now I just gotta call Preem Builders and line up with Tony when they can come and do it, probably next spring, next summer. So we'll get a new steel roof on our park, maintenance shop. Okay, so that worked out nice too. Okay. Everything else for the cemetery looks good, like I said. The last page is our capital improvements, which in the past years, as you can see, we've usually got around 55, 52, 55, 8. This year we got 67.5, which was really good. We got certain things that we need to do. First of all, we'll purchase the remaining 15,000 of the playground modular out to Castle Meadows. War Memorial, another $7,500 stuck into that. By the way, on that, I did get a hold of the Legion, and I did talk to Todd Nelson over at the Veterans. We are meeting after the first of the year to start getting that plan of a new memorial up at North Park. Where we're gonna put it, whatever, we are not, we haven't really decided yet, but, I know Janet had given me an email, and we're not gonna be putting it by the playground modular for sure.
Yep.
And that stuff. We might use the same area where the flag is now, possibility in that area too, just keep it where it's at.
It all depends on the size of it too.
Yeah, and Todd wanted it, so it's gonna be shown, street side, so people drive by and see it. The only problem we have, I know we first thought about on the other side of the park, but there's all sewer lines and water lines that run all along that sidewalk, all the way from one end down to the other end. And then there's plastic water lines that run all the way there too, so to put something in there will be very difficult. And plus, we have our festival there too, not saying that it couldn't be, we couldn't work around that, but when I looked at the map, and me and Charlie looked at the map, there's a lot of different, stormwater lines, big 16-inch lines that run underneath that park, so it might be a difficult situation there, so we'll figure it out, and then I'll touch base back to you guys and let you know on how that project's gonna go after the first of the year, okay? Backstop North Park, 15,000. I had an estimate because, you know, we have to put a new backstop up there because of, 9th grade and the junior varsity baseball playing up there using our facility. But out of some of that 15,000, I will ask some money back from the joint ventures. So, if, I'm never for sure if they're gonna be able to give me the money, so that's why I budgeted. The budget for the new fence was around 14.2, just to let you know, to put a new backstop up there from dugout to dugout for baseball, and it's gonna be another 20-foot high because of foul balls. But, we'll see if we can maybe muster some more money out of the joint investors and, see if we can get some more money out of that, okay? And then, compact utility tractor, of course, is our main tractor that drags all the fields and does all of our aerating, does all of our, it's our runs all of our equipment. 18 years old, it's due to be replaced, so we'll have close to 19, 20 years on it, and then we'll replace that with a new tractor. What's really nice about it is that it will also have a setup for the front of the new John Deere that has a snow blower. So now, once we start getting more bike paths down in the future, we'll have a good way, we can go run down there, besides just a little skid loader, we got something with four-wheel drive, and we can start taking care of our own paths.
So is the old tractor getting sold, or?
We're not gonna sell it, 'cause I talked to the guy, we're not gonna get anything out of it, really. Couple $1,000, the thing still runs, we'll use it to drag our fields as much as we can, and when it's done and done, it's gonna be done. We did that with our own or our big lawnmower also. Our 455, we got 2 gang mowers. We don't put a lot of money into it, we baby it, we have certain areas where we go use it, and that's what we do. So we'll plan on doing that also with that drag tractor, that will just drag fields with it. That new tractor will do all of our aerating and all of our fertilizing and all of our other stuff. So that's kinda where we're gonna have it set up. Until that old one goes to put, she's blowing pretty black smoke on her right now. She might make another year or 2, but, we'll see how it all goes. That's just bad injectors and stuff like that involved into it. It'd be a lot of money to start repairing it and stuff.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, I mean, the longer we hang on to it, the more money you're gonna put into it, just to keep it doing what it's doing.
Yeah, and we won't put that much money, just like we did our own lawnmower, our big game mower. You can only have it so long, and here's the deal, when we got that new lawnmower, they were gonna give us $1,500 for that $60,000, or it was $36,000 in 1997, we bought it for $36,000, I remember that. In 1997, that 11-foot mower. Today, or 2 years ago, we bought that other one for $75,000. So, that's the difference in 18 years, or since 1997, the cost. So, unbelievable. And this drag tractor, this compact tractor, I went back and looked at, we bought it 18 years ago, it was $15,000. Now it's gonna be $60,000 in 18 years. It's hard to believe, but that's the price of stuff that goes up. Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of our CIP plan, and I think, like I said again, thank you for the council, Dan, make sure that you mention that to him for me, I very appreciate that, and we'll just keep trucking away and figure what's from other things that need to do, and I know that we gotta start looking at, quick like here, other areas as far as what are we gonna do with the modular up at the new east ball field park. I mean, that's just got the ball field, we gotta start looking at that area, doing something. The Lions members, I know for sure, are really thinking about wanting to get a pickleball court down to the new Lions Park. They talked about that to me when we dedicated the shelter, and they're gonna help try to do some funding with that. I know that. And whatever else, of course, the water memorial, we wanna try to get that going. I wanna implement and take down the old, probably 75-year-old trees that are around the playground up now at the North Park, and I wanna do that this next year. And I wanna take all that sand out of underneath them swings, and I wanna build a whole big border and enclose the whole playground area with wood chips up there at the North Park. And that means cutting them old trees down, and then replanting some new trees on the outside of it. So we don't, it's gonna take some shade away, but them trees are just, they're like stilts anyway, there's nothing coming out of them. And they're probably about 70 years old, and they're just old, one of them I think is a box elder and some other stuff that's been there for years. But we wanna try to get that North Park kinda shaped up and look nice and implement everything. And then, I know that we're gonna try to work around that big swing, because you're gonna have distances, and that's a grandfather thing.
It is.
And so we'll try to implement that, but the little baby swing, we might not be able to it because the cement is stuck on the ground that far. So we're gonna have to do something with that, and maybe just get a new swing at some time, a given time, and a new baby swing with nice baby swing features, the new upgraded ADA stuff where people can bring their little ones and set them in a nice thing that's really safe and secure, instead of them round square things. We've been setting
Hey,
up for years.
we're all still here.
I know, I was gonna say, my kids are all right.
Yep, so anyway, that's kind of the look on that modular, so I just wanted to give you an update on this. Other than that, anything, questions on the budget, anything that you guys can think of, or?
Think so.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Okay.
all right, we're down to Movies in the Park 2020.
Okay, I'm gonna let Jan talk a little bit more on this, but me and her kinda talked about it, and, number one, we've had this going for quite a few years. We've always tried to do 4 movies. We've always had pretty decent luck on trying to get sponsorship for the movies. The last few years, we've been struggling. The cost of the movies are going up, like Jan said. The cost of probably even putting them on are even gonna go up in the future with Kurt and whoever's gonna end up doing that. We wanted to know what your guys' thoughts is, and do you still feel like 4 is efficient, or do you feel like maybe we cut it down to 2 or 3, or maybe not even have them at all? I mean, that's just something that was just brought up because, number one, the attendance is between 25, 30, maybe 40 people, maybe
On
attending.
a good night, you might have 50 there.
Might have 50,
Yeah.
and the cost is rising.
But it's around $500 just to put it on.
Just to put it on, and we budget 1,000 in our budget to pay
Help out.
Kurt,
Yeah.
to pay Kurt.
Yeah.
The sponsors
He's
pay for the
$200 a
movie.
night,
Mhm.
and the movies are over 3 now, so.
Should, probably, they have good attendance, Festival in Park that
Mhm.
night? Okay,
Mhm.
'cause I'm gone that weekend every year, so I didn't. But it should be that night for sure, and maybe just one other night. I mean, that's my opinion.
I went to 2 of the 4 this year, and the attendance is low. Well, my expectation was 100 people, and it's not, obviously.
No.
It's not
And
gonna
the last
happen.
one I went to, I don't even remember what it was, but 3/4 of the way through the movie, it went from, let's say if there's 50 people, it went down to like there's 15 left.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they didn't stay for the whole movie, almost like it's like, well,
That's
you
the
know,
only one
let's
we
just
have.
go. Nice
Well,
night
I
out.
think it gets late.
It
You know,
does.
if
It
they
does.
don't start until after 9 o'clock, so these people, really young kids, I
Yeah.
think by 11 o'clock they're done for,
Yeah.
so they, you
And
know, by
then
10
that's the other
o'clock they
thing,
start leaving.
you know, you got the sun's high and
Yeah.
days are long, it's just not as conducive to have, if the movie starts at 8:30, it's one thing, but it doesn't.
No.
You know, when you're picking at $10 a head, that's, to me, not an efficient way. We could probably find something else for entertainment. Now, if you wanna do a movies in the park, just one, festival weekend, but I don't think that's fair to Kurt, probably. You know, to say, well, we're doing one a year.
And that's, the festival committee arranges that one anyway, so.
But they still have him and whether he has other opportunity too, so.
Mhm.
It's cool that it's there. I think the movie itself is wearing itself out to where we've seen it all, we see it all in movies where there's nothing new that we can get, so you're trying to find, or someone's trying to pick, you know, what do you bring that's gonna accommodate people, and it's, with today's phones and iPads and Netflix and whatever else they got, they've probably seen that movie 3-4 times, and like, we're not gonna go see it again, so. To me, you know, you might break a few hearts, but I would, my opinion is, I think, maybe just call it good and not do it again for 2021, or 2020. So, you know, you wish you could take a poll on the people that were there, but, how many other communities have,
Byron.
They do it?
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know what their turnout is like, I
I
haven't talked to
don't know
anybody over
either.
there either.
Well, and I know it takes a bunch out of the festival budget too, to have it that night. And it's another person they gotta find to donate it. And if nobody donates it, then they're stuck with it too.
I think
Yeah, I really honestly,
Or maybe
it
we as a
doesn't
park
matter
board,
to
maybe
me.
we fund it. We got $1,000 implemented in it, why don't we just fund the whole thing?
I agree
Well,
with that too.
But I don't think it's about a matter of funding, it's a matter of how much it costs, the people that turn out and.
But
and
they
the
have a
weather.
good turnout though.
At festival, they have a good
festival.
turnout.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so keep one for the
That's
festival, but
it.
the other three,
Get rid of them.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
saying, we don't have to go out and find a sponsorship, just have the city of Casson Park
Sponsor
Department,
it.
Park Board sponsor the.
and that, as part of the
sponsor
festival,
the
that would
movie.
be
Yeah.
fine, but I think
Festival and be
the other
done.
three, just, you know, and I think parents would
That'd be
understand that, it's
perfect.
getting dark, it gets late,
Yeah.
you know, you still gotta spray, you know, and he has it down at the football field, which is almost too far away for some parents, especially grandparents, to walk down that hill. You know, if he had it back in the park again, you know, who chose for him to go down on that, down by North Two Ball Field?
There's no room though.
That, with all the vendors in the
Well,
park,
that's
his
why.
screen is big
Well-
and he just claims he can't fit it in up there.
That during festival?
Yeah.
Yes,
So that's why you got moved.
right.
Yeah, that makes
So-
sense.
so
Can
then
they
you-
put it on the ball field?
So then you put it on North One outfield ball field. It's fenced off, you can open the gate, people can go sit.
So that's
You got
all up to
movie
the
plan.
festival committee.
Well, and then you'd have to, for sure, have lawn
I'm
chairs
sure
and
they
stuff,
would.
'cause you're.
But I mean, that's something you'd have to bring up to them.
But that's
Yeah.
nothing different, and they're not, when it gets dark, their tournaments are done, you know, for the day, if there is a tournament, you know, which they're, you know, last year's kickball tournament, so it's not like it's
Mhm.
softball going till 6 o'clock.
Right.
Well, does he wanna set it up in the ball field though? I mean, is it?
I think that was his, I think that was
there's
Kurt's
power for the-
destination. It's power at the Crows,
Yeah, he sets it up on the football field, not on the baseball.
but there's gotta be power in the baseball field.
Yeah,
No,
there's
but-
power.
I think he
The
just.
lime and all that, is that gonna affect his equipment? Is that something?
Well, but he's gonna be in the grass, he could be in the left field grass, and, or he's set up in center field, and everybody sits in left field and watches it, and those that are in the park, it's like, oh, there's a movie going on over there, I can see
Yeah,
it.
they can still see it.
Yeah.
I agree with that, we
It's
should just
I think
do
his
it that
destination
night.
doesn't help it, you know, if
Right.
that's a park board, or it's a festival thing, well, but I would say get rid of the other three,
And
they'll keep the
Does
festival.
all he needs
Yeah.
is just like regular 110, plug in?
Yeah, it's just a big two blowers and, which inflates the screen like a bounce house.
And then the
And
speakers.
then the speakers and his recorder, so it's just a 110 12 gauge cord, so.
I agree. And then have the
So-
city pay for it, 'cause we already,
Mhm.
that'd be perfect, I agree with that. I'm
Anybody
good.
else's views?
I mean, I don't want, I don't think it's just worth.
Jason, what do you think?
Never been to one, 'cause I guess if I'm gonna go watch a movie, I'm gonna go sit in a recliner and watch
Right.
it, to be honest with
Yeah.
you.
Right.
So, I don't care either way, but as far as donating the 1,000, I guess, can that 1,000 go somewhere else to the park board?
It doesn't
It wouldn't
cost
be
that
that, it would
much
be
though.
probably 5, because
Yeah.
the cost of the movie and then his time, so.
Yeah,
And being a festival itself, it's just a contribution by the
City
park
to
board.
the city.
by the city and park board,
So-
yeah, yeah,
That's one way that we're active in the community.
yeah,
Mhm.
agreed.
We don't do anything otherwise.
Right.
Mhm.
Where
Do we
you
have to
rate.
make,
Mhm.
should we just make a motion
Yeah.
that that's, to have only one movie night, festival in the park, Friday night, and then have the City of Casson Park Board donate it?
I'll hear from Chuck. What do you think, Chuck? You got a wild mind.
I've kinda, last couple of years, I haven't been able to make one, so it's like, I'm in favor for that one time. But if the following year, someone like throughout the summer, somebody says, you know, are you gonna have more? Then maybe we could look at it again in 2021 or something.
And then get more
Yeah.
information saying, you know, it gets late.
Yeah.
What age are the kids? The kids are doing so much more different things now. That's not just watching a movie like it was it doing this 5 years now, maybe?
At least that.
6, you know, so.
Yeah.
Turn the clock back quite a bit, it's, not everybody had their own iPad or notebook thing anymore, so.
Okay.
Roger?
I'd say dump the 3 and just do the one for the festival.
Okay. Live bids.
I'm gonna
She's
take
got
off,
it bad, but
guys,
she is,
sorry.
So you're gonna re-up?
Yep.
Yep,
Ooh.
absolutely.
Good, thank you.
She needs
Yes.
You need to sign something here, does she?
I
Yeah.
already did.
Oh, you did, okay.
Yep, I already
Okay.
did.
Okay.
Hey,
Thank
sorry
you.
I'm sneaking out, guys.
Okay,
Here's your
well,
water.
we'll end it in a
Yeah.
few minutes since you're drawing over, go quick now, so.
Yeah, right, now you can talk about me.
Meeting's adjourned. There you go.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay.
So then I'll just make a motion.
Okay, so
To-
second by Jason, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Not carried. So we'll have one movie festival in the park on Friday evening, and we will sponsor it or pay for it through the park board's budget. Sounds good. Of course, Liza just left, and she said she'd re-up, so her term is good, so she'll be on for another 3 years, which is nice. Okay, next month, I think what we'll do is we'll bring up, we'll ask her if she wants to be chair again, or we can all see if what wants to be changed, if somebody else wants to be the chair of the board, we'll bring that up next month or something, so. Old business, update on the stone wall. I know Dan wants to talk a little bit about it. I'm just gonna say what I know about it, what's happened on my end of it since we last met, and then we can pick up and go from there, and I'm sure Janet can probably add some things to it too, because, I was the one that contacted Janet about some of this stuff. But first of all, at the last council meeting, the council decided to give the public to generate funds to save, give the public a chance to generate funds for the wall. A date of April 1st, 2020 would be the deadline for the total cost of the $229,000 or $230,000 project, and that money would have to be received at City Hall. Any money that was received at City Hall will not be cashed. It would be, if it does not go, it would all be handed back to the person that did donate, number one. I reached out to Janet, being the board member, and I know, she was not in favor of having the wall taken down, and to get info out to the public so that any individual or any group could start a GoFundMe account, or any funding could go to repair the cost of the wall. We had to be reached out, and I think the council wanted something to happen, so at least the public knew about the information out there. Jerry Geese of CARE gave me a call. He was up here at the council, and he did give me a call. He had questions, and I answered him with the info that I think I had as far as what I talked to the gentleman from the restoration company. He asked me a bunch of questions, and whatever that Josh, whatever from that building rest told me, I tried to give him his best answers that I could. Jerry was concerned. He did take a look at the wall, and he said it's in pretty rough shape. Jerry really was first to admit it, that wow, it was. I did point out that 12 years ago, we spent $22,000 to repair it, tuck point it and stuff, and so he knows that information. I just wanted to let you guys know that he did call me. I told him that there was lots of concerns with the safety of the wall, things being done, and he understood that. He looked at it all over, and he understood where we, as a board, were sitting, knowing that, the way we looked at it. He also thought that the restoration company did an excellent job of describing what had to be done in the wall. He got a contract from the city, and he looked that whole thing all over. He also asked me if the whole thing was done, if that whole price meant the whole wall from in front of the pool all the way down to where Dick Shea lives. No, I don't. It's the front of the wall, and it's the wall in front of the outlet to go to the picnic shelter. That far end one, that little one, was not included in the price. Just to let everybody know that, okay? That was the cost, or when we talked, we thought about. So, that's what I told Jerry, and that's where we kinda left it, okay? And, I know Dan wants to talk a little bit about it, and then Janet, you can add what you want, how you went about what you did and stuff, and we'll go from there. Go ahead, Dan.
So, just talking a little with the council, they would like that we brought it to them so they knew what was going on. Like I said, they threw it back at the park, they want us to look at it. So I made just a couple phone calls. Tomorrow night I'll give an update to the council. We're looking at getting the engineer involved to see how bad the wall really is, so we even know where we're at. So then cause we've had other people request that they wanted to bid on it. They didn't know about it, they wanna bid on it, so we're gonna get the engineer involved, just look. And then we'll talk to the council, not tomorrow night, because there's not enough time to put it on the agenda. It'll be the first meeting in January to see how far the council wants to go with the engineer cost, putting it back out for bid, making an open bid for everybody. But that way it's an exact apple to apple, everybody knows exactly what they're bidding, everybody will know what's there. So nobody, cause right now, the email I got, the one guy wanted to know if he could just tuck point it, well, so he doesn't know the whole scope of it, so we wanna get it all out, so everything's listed out, so we know exactly what it's gonna be. And then we have, but the council has to decide how far they wanna go with the engineer. So I won't know until after the first meeting in January, but that's kind of the route we're going. Since they threw it back on us, I just made a couple calls just to see, but, and we wanna make sure we know, if it is
So-
bad.
So the engineer goes on top of what the bid is then, correct?
Right
The
now-
cost of the engineer?
Yeah, that'll be.
Because you're looking at $295 the way it is, and I do construction, engineers aren't cheap.
Yeah.
And I don't think the city should have to pay to have the engineer there to tell us that the wall's bad.
But we can't put it out, we have to put it out for bid, and the only way you can put it out through bid is you have to run it through the city engineer. You can't just put a wall, anything that goes over $175,000 has to go out to an open bid to the public. To put it out to open bid, you have to follow state guidelines. So we have to involve the engineer.
Okay?
So but that's where the council has to decide how far we go with it, before we go with it. So there's no decisions made, it's just merely, that's our next step.
Step.
We have to
Mhm.
follow steps, and that's our next.
You invest the money to find out the procedure you're not.
Yeah, but, yeah.
So
and-
you still invest the money in the engineer to.
But the engineer
give us
can
the guideline.
go to a certain point as a general in their normal budget before they go too far, you know, we can pick that point.
You say stop, here's the dollars to stop.
Yeah, and, you know, we've got a relationship with the engineer, they'll do a couple things up front that they don't, that they just, is part of their normal billing, it's not.
Not on top of.
Yeah, but so that's the stage we're at, so we have to bring it back there just to see, to make sure we're following all the guidelines and giving everybody the chance. But, you know, at the council meeting, the council unanimously decided the city doesn't have $229,000 to fix a wall. That's not something that the council wants to do. That's why we put it out to the public. If you wanna save it, come up with the money. And we wanna make sure that everybody
I's are
knows
dotted, T's are crossed.
and what they're bidding on, to make sure they know that everybody is bidding the same. So you don't have one guy come in and lowball it so low and then
Mhm.
say, oh, I didn't know I was doing that. So we gotta,
Well, there's rock that's gotta be replaced, there's stones replaced, and like, I think as I read, it's, some of the tuck pointing, you know, you gotta use a softer mortar that moves
yeah.
versus a hard mortar that'll crack.
And we gotta figure out how bad the stone really
Stone
is,
is.
'cause we know how it was on that brick furnace out there.
Exactly.
So we wanna know how bad this is too.
Yep.
So we just wanna make sure we got all our proper information. So that's where the council's at right now.
That's good. Janet, do you have anything to add?
Tara's working on it, they're, gonna try and get somebody else to come and look at it too, different restoration company, and, I guess I don't know how it's been out to the public exactly. If you haven't looked at the minutes for city council or park board, it's not out there to the public. So I know that Kier is doing some signs or flyers, and they're gonna try and get them cast in the bags. If not, then they're gonna be putting on cards, I believe,
Okay.
to try and get the word out, 'cause I don't feel that it's out to the public, really. You know, put some signs up around in businesses too, 'cause, you know, if you don't see things, you don't know. You know, by looking, okay, you're on the park board, but if you just were in town.
You didn't let me, I didn't even say a word and you're already pointing at me.
No, I know, but if you're just in town, just living here, and you may be working Rochester, you don't know what's going on in this town unless you're looking at your minutes. You're watching the minutes that's going on in town. People don't know.
I wanna talk
Not
about it.
necessarily does anybody read the paper either, you know?
So you're saying this right now on this one subject. I could go back 10 years on everything that's happened in this town that nobody knows about.
Right.
Okay,
So we're working on getting the word out.
okay. That's how it works here.
Right. So we're working on getting the word out to the public. It hasn't been out too much, so we're gonna try and get it out. In the past, things haven't been open too much, I guess, or whatever, how you wanna say it, but, you know, there's been a lot of discussion on things in the past of how come we didn't know that or something, so we're gonna try and get the word out a little more and see what goes, you know?
Did you put the one out on Facebook?
Yeah.
Yep.
I
That's
got
good.
something,
Social
something out
media
there,
is huge.
and I
A
put it
lot of
on
people-
that next door neighborhood,
Mhm.
I got it on
So,
there too.
If anybody, I mean, I've seen it out on Facebook, social media already, I mean, you had a nice little article on there, so, you know, and stuff. And like I say, I mean, the paper, you know it and I know it, the paper is the paper.
Yeah.
It is, you're only gonna get, if people are gonna purchase a paper and buy
Right.
a paper, they're gonna look at it. If they don't subscribe to a paper, then they're not
They
gonna
don't know,
see it.
right.
Then they don't know it, and it's
Right.
more based on getting on your phone,
But-
you know it and I know it.
But going to the paper, minutes aren't published in the paper anymore, they haven't been for years.
Right.
Right.
But we can try and get them to write an article, and then that's gonna be for at least the people that do get the paper.
Right.
At least, not saying that he's going to, but we can try.
And that,
You
that would
know,
be
and-
fine, because like, you know, like, just for instance, when we have our Arbor Day celebration, I go down to the paper, no matter who it is, and I ask them, could you have a photographer there? And then could you bring someone there that I can write a little article about, because that's part of our standard for Arbor Day. No matter what, we need to be published in a paper. That's qualification, that's a standard. So, anything like that, people do have an objective to go to the paper, and they should be able to write an article and print it out there. Where it goes from there, then you don't know. How many people in Casson get the paper?
Right.
People in Wisconsin are gonna see it. People in Blooming Prairie are gonna see it, 'cause that's where it goes now. It goes the whole county wide.
Right.
So that'd be one good way of being able to do it, you know. And social media is huge. I don't care what anybody says, some way or somehow, the more people look at Facebook every single day. I mean, and you hate to say it, there's some bad things on it, but there's also good things on it too. And then, you know, there's there's the tweeting and all this other stuff and all the people gibberish and stuff, but it's this kind of world, I look at it as this world, how do you get stuff out to people anymore?
Well,
It's
and-
even hard for me to get it out to the schools.
And you're right, and me as a small business, you know, we're reviewing our advertising, because the subscription to papers, even though they say the subscribed paper is up, I don't see it. You know, do we read a paper, or do you read it on your phone? Or do you read the Rochester one on your phone, but you're only looking for the articles you wanna read, not saying, here's a sign, here's a banner, and you're right, you know, the more you can pepper where people see is what you're gonna get the interest in, and if they go, what's this about a stone wall? Or they're gonna walk by and go, it's just a wall, I'm gonna keep on walking, so, just, you know, they still have to show interest or not interest, or, you know, will they do an article in the DCI, or, because
They
that's
will.
what, they probably will, now, I do know that they brought in another guy to Missouri to help
Mhm.
with the DCI, so they're kind of trying to revitalize this paper again, so.
Yeah.
Not saying it wasn't bad, but it, you know, wasn't like it used to be when the Carlsons had it, so, and that's good, because that's important. Signs on stores, whether you have a, you know, send stuff home, I don't wanna say wrong, but, you know, with the kids at school, but how much stuff do you send home to the parents to be, you know, 'cause their kids are going to the pool, their kids are at the park, so this wall has to do with the same thing, the kids are gonna be around, so let the parents be aware. Now, there's your challenges, do they want to drop money into a program that they think is supported by the city, or the city should pay for, or who should pay for it? And that goes back to the council saying, that's $230,000 that we don't have to fix a wall, but, you know,
So that's
if you got $100, throw in $100.
$230,000 added to the city levy, city budget, city levy raises, I thought, somewhere in the neighborhood of 6-7%. So that would, to fix that, that would mean you'd have to raise everybody's property tax levy 7%. So that's,
Even 40.
you know, that's why it was like, that's not in the books right
Well,
now,
no,
you
and
know,
that's.
but you know what I'm saying, that's.
Yeah, and you get the older generation that says, I can't even pay my own stuff.
Right.
So why am I gonna start paying for a wall? So, that's the side that's, it's a challenge, it is, you know.
It is.
You know, who looks at what, and who sees it, and how do you get it out there? Welcome to my world as well, but it's gotta be put out. And I think it kinda goes back to the grassroots of, and this is where the paper will come in, why the wall is there, who built it. But they also have to kinda put in this article, if this is the case, limestone does deteriorate.
No matter what,
Nothing lasts forever.
it's 80 years old.
Okay, so they have to understand both sides of how much it's gonna cost to fix it, who's gonna pay for it.
And what's the,
You know, not just a
what you
one-side
fix it,
article.
now it's a new wall.
Right.
So, or, not, I got something to say.
I
too,
don't think we're against it, it's great if the public
Mhm.
funds it, but I don't see it, you know, even with the new quotes coming in, I don't see it coming in, and I would imagine the city's gonna look at the quotes and say, hey, you might be qualified, you're not qualified.
Yep.
By restoration.
There has to be standards.
Yes.
Yes.
So the price isn't gonna change much in my opinion.
No, and
And-
if they're involved in, you know, maybe they come up with $50,000. Okay, well, perfect, you know, so, in public donations or private donations, you don't know until you get to April of 2020.
I talked to one gal, and she said, well, you know, they really didn't give us time to even apply for a grant. April first, you don't have time to get it and see if you get, you know, get the grant. So she wasn't very pleased that way, but I said, well, I don't know, that's what they said, so I said, see what you can do.
So how long do you drag something out just to try to get a grant that you're not gonna get?
Yeah, I don't know.
To have some
but
kid
that's
get
just-
hurt?
Yeah, it's
Well-
just something she said, so,
And that's-
you know.
And that was the discussion at the council was, we looked at if the wall is deteriorating as bad as building restoration was saying, how much of a safety hazard is it? You have to pick a guideline, and that's why we picked April first to have it done by the time the pool opens. You know, you have the money raised by then, it gives them time to have it done, cause it said like 45 days in there, cause we wanted it done for the pool, cause if you start blocking off sidewalks and part of the park, you just lost revenue to a pool. And that's where we're looking at too, you know, cause if it's a safety violation, you have to, now that we know it, we have to
Do something.
be it, they get it fixed, which there's not in the budget, tearing it down, or barricading it off. To barricade it off, you're blocking off sidewalks and part of the park. So you gotta, you know, we're trying to weigh out every option, and that's why that date got picked. And,
Oh, I don't care, I was just telling her, this is what that
Yeah.
gal told me, she
And-
didn't know anything, I contacted her and she said, I didn't know anything about this. I was like, well, read the paper and talk to people.
But
we
again-
brought it up to
you
the,
know.
park board brought it up, and we brought it up to council as soon as we could. It got on
Yeah.
the, you know.
So it, yeah.
So it's not like
was-
it's not like it's been talked about a lot, so.
No, it hasn't.
So your expectation for her not to know is probably
Right.
quite obvious.
Right, so it
But,
is, yeah.
you
So
know,
I think that we need to get our word out a little more so about it, so people are aware of this. You know, because if it goes, so it's gonna get tore down. Okay, then people are gonna say, how come? How come we didn't know anything? Well, so we gotta get the word out more so, I think, so
But-
people are aware.
But the question is, where does the word go and how does it come from, and do these people see it? And most of the people that don't see it, were never looking, never cared to look, didn't pay any attention if it was there, until, oh, you made a decision because my neighbor said, well, now I'm gonna speak up.
Yeah,
I mean, you have that side too, that there's a lot of those people that,
Well,
well, we're
you
gonna
can't-
try. the first-
anybody who goes to the pool or the festival in the park, walks by it, you see the stone laying on the sidewalk, you
Mhm.
see it, I mean, it's visible. So, I mean, it's out there to a certain point. You know, people do see it, who are involved going to the park and stuff like that.
you know, part of it might be, and it's probably too soon to say, it may not get torn down this year or fixed this year, it may be, looks like a 2020, or 2021, I don't know. Is it that bad to where it can't be cleaned up and protected and it's not a safety hazard?
And that's where the council is looking at
That's-
the engineer's
that's
option.
right, and that's where the
Because they're
engineers-
gonna know.
Yep, so at that point, it's like, well, now you got a year to get it out, and now you got a chance to get some grants, and now you got, or do you do something, and if you don't mind, Gerald Geese stopped and talked to me personally too about it, and one of the comments he made is, we don't have to repair the whole wall, but can we preserve something off that wall, whether it's just I'm gonna say the arches, one section of it, and say, fix that, and the rest can go away. So it still has that, was it the WAP?
WPA.
WPA, thanks, so that's still there with some maintenance repair. Is that part of this? Well, at this point, it's not even probably considered yet. You're not fixing all of it, you're fixing some of it. Can you just say a certain part? I mentioned to Jerry Geese too, it's like, well, if there's a chance that some of this limestone can be moved to a different, say it's put into the veterans, built into that project as now, here's part of the WPA and the limestone from a past wall that it once stood here, but still honoring, maybe that can be moved around yet. So the wall can come down, but, and Jerry's like, well, that's probably an option too. I mean, so it's not like it's a one or the other, but multiple options, just where do we go, what's the cost,
And
safety issues.
And that's why no decisions were made, and that's why it came back to the park board, and that was why it was put out to the public, to give people a chance to talk, and
Yep.
so there was communications, it was, but we had to start somewhere, and that's where it started. It started here,
You're on the right path, it's starting, and now we just have to go forward.
and look at the options.
So if you wanna, get more communication out there, try to television stations, 'cause they'll do city interest
Yep.
type things, and, give that a shot. I mean, Betsy Singer is right here in town.
Just ran a cook.
Yeah.
So, it's a challenge, it really is, but, where it's gonna go, way too soon to tell for anything, And you may have a private individual that donates
The whole thing.
the whole thing or $100,000, you don't know until, let's see what this deadline brings. We got 4 months to get the information out.
There has been people that have asked about donating some of the, say like the mortar or whatever you use. Can we donate some of that and then the cost would come down? And I was like, well, I would imagine, I don't know.
But see, that all depends on who gets the bid.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
If I get the bid, I don't want any donate, well, for
Right.
one, 'cause that's where that's how I eat. That's the money that, the 10% off every bag that we have for that job, that's where that money comes in. I mean, you gotta look at both ways. I know it's donation and we should take it, but we can't
Right.
force the company who got the project to take the donation.
Plus, it's gotta be the proper,
Type of mortar.
Yeah.
Mortar.
I don't want the
Right.
price, we'll
Yeah.
take.
I mean,
we'll
we
take
all know
the
last
year's
monetary
mortar.
to go towards the
or
project.
it's the wrong mortar, yes. So, I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
variables, and that's where,
I'm just saying, that's, I've heard that, people have asked about it, and it's like, well,
There you go.
I don't know the answer to that.
Well, you will
Right.
kinda know, because there's gonna be a.
Talk to
Yeah.
Ronnie.
so that's where it's at right now, on council level, but let's come back
So-
here, and then I've made a couple calls, just waiting to see. And I'll have it on the agenda for the first meeting in January. 'Cause tomorrow's meeting is way too soon, we're not putting nothing on there,
No.
it's not the proper. And our new administrator over here, and he'll have ideas.
So, we got a lot of things to let play out first before anything's decided one way or another.
Yeah, nothing's been decided at all.
No, so I think it's just a good discussion for, the next couple of months going forward, and we'll see where it all falls, so.
Time will tell.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, next one, Christmas tree lighting up at Veterans Memorial Park.
Good turnout.
Yeah, I'm gonna let, Janet kinda talk about it, and she called me and I kinda talked to her a little bit about it. Go ahead, Janet, just kinda let
Well,
me.
I think that we need to make sure that we get it on the same weekend as Christmas in Casson, because I guess I didn't feel it was a very good turnout. We had more last year than this year, I thought. And I know, like, I asked the mayor and he couldn't do it, he was out of town. So then I had to think about it, and it's like, well, then way back when we had, I think he was 7, that little boy had written a letter to the city asking about that tree, so I had him and Matt Nelson do the talk, because Matt was mayor at that time, and so that was kinda cool that way, but maybe just change the date so it's not Black Friday.
Yeah, 'cause that, is it the next weekend is the Christmas and Cass, right?
Well, Christmas and Cass
First
is
week-
always the
Saturday?
first Saturday of December. It won't change.
Okay, so we'll
So,
have to do
now when you
it
get
then.
Black Friday, you have a holiday that moves, so it
Yeah.
just happened to fall.
But
That's
there's
the
always
only
that
reason that
Friday
was.
before Christmas and Cass and that Friday night.
Yep, which at some point will be back Black Friday again.
Yeah,
So,
that's a tough one,
you know.
to get people to come out, 'cause a lot of people are gone for Thanksgiving,
Yep,
so.
and next year it's not gonna be Thanksgiving.
It was
it's
cold.
November.
It was a little chilly.
It was cold, it was
It
snowy.
wasn't the best weather, so that was part of it, but, so.
And no offense to anything, it's just like anything, just like the movies in the park. The interest was there, now people like, yeah, some new people come, some, will, you know, been there.
Some will be the same people all the time,
Yep.
and some will go.
You know, that's,
It's just
it's
a
like
tree in the
anything
park.
that goes on in town.
Yep.
Some people do it all the time, and then some are like, it was okay for me, you know. Now, I thought it was a good time, my kids had a good time coming to it, but.
Well, the reason behind it is great, but you can't expect everybody in the community to jump on board saying this is great. There's way too many interests and way too many personalities that, you know, so I think for what you have of who shows up, it's like the library dedication and any other dedications that we have, you have your own little followings.
Mhm.
You know, expectations can be always grander, but
That's
don't
right.
expect them to be.
The same every year, it's gonna change every year.
Some will go up, some will go down.
Well, I personally put up 35 signs in town, so
That's a
I'm
lot.
hoping to
That's
get
a lot.
people to come out,
You know?
but,
And,
you know.
I never saw one, no offense, but people, when they're in town, they're running in and running out, they don't stop like they used to look at bulletin boards and look, everybody's looking on their phones, their iPads, listening to the kids from school, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
I put it on Facebook, but, you know, I can't get it out to the public
Right.
necessarily, 'cause I don't have the whole world out there on my
You know,
Facebook
you know, the
page.
city will put it out in the
But, yeah.
newsletters and on Facebook, but
Yeah.
it's still, like you said earlier, you're gonna scroll through and read what you wanna read.
how many people read the channels, 15, 6, on TV that,
Channel 19?
that's it?
Never.
I don't have it.
Okay.
Well, honestly, I do every once in a while.
Okay, well, I'm with you, that I'll be sitting back and there's nothing
Yeah.
on TV, I was like, you know, I'm gonna go to, but what I seem to always see, and I don't wanna, this is nothing saying bad, Dodge Center has a lot of stuff, you know,
How many people,
going on, and
how many people have TV?
I'm jumping backward, then that's just it, who subscribes to the KM Telecom?
A lot of the younger
Or
generation
Charter,
are
now it's-
streaming,
Mhm.
and, you know,
Yep.
they're not on TV. Kids
Mhm.
are on,
So even if the city put on that, you guys just said, no, never, maybe once, Okay,
I've
well,
never,
there's-
I don't have TV.
you know,
I run it either off of an antenna, or we'll stream.
so.
There's no,
You know, so as you get to the social media, how do you get it out there? You know, we had the signs on our counter, and we had it on our door, but I can't stop everybody say, stop and read this. You know?
You can't come in
Yeah,
there.
it's hard to
Like
get
I
it
said,
out.
you can't, it's hard to, it's like us as advertisers, it's like, do I keep sticking $2,000 an ad out to try to sell and make a profit on that? You can't. But at what point do you stop?
It's
It-
the
it-
new,
yeah.
the new deal of social media.
Yep.
and it's hard.
It's just keeping your name out there, and eventually people start, I wonder what the city's got going on now. Well, it takes years and years and years of business to build it, much less, not to say city's wrong, who cares about the city stuff? You know,
We
it's a whole
put a
different.
newsletter every month in the
Unless
bill.
it's extra.
You wouldn't believe how many people
That's
come in
it
the
right
door,
there.
open their bill,
That is-
There's
throw
only a
that
handful of
away,
people that
never
really
even
care
look at it.
until it happens to you.
Yep.
And then-
I know, but
and
a
then
lot
it
of people
doesn't
don't
matter
even-
to this group
I
of
know.
people, and nobody freaking
You
cares.
are one in the.
Yeah.
It matters to these 5 people.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't mean.
How do you get it out? You
Yeah.
don't. You sit there and eat it,
No,
believe
and
me,
they do
I
get
don't.
it in there in time. I forgot
So,
about that
That's
one.
just
So
the
that's-
way the
that's a
world
good way
is,
to put it, especially
It's
with-
got
It
me
truly
involved.
is, it's gotten that.
Half the people that live in Casson don't care what's happening in Casson.
Mhm.
I'm right here on telling everybody who's gonna watch this, they don't care what's happening here.
Enough to the fact
They
that.
sleep here.
Well, you wanna see, why have it worse mentioned Byron was. You know, thank God, I live in Caston. You know, you wanna talk a better community, nothing bad, but Byron has its place. But that's a whole different community, and how they interact, and what they see, and what goes on, and, you know, welcome to their festivals that they have, and the turnouts that they do have, but
It's hard.
it's difficult.
Every city is, well, like every city, every business, everybody's finding that it's.
You know, the flyer in the city bill, I usually open it up the day before I pay, and then everything on the flyer.
It's already done.
It's already done.
I get it, email, so I'll kinda.
See, mine's an auto pay.
You don't read any of
So
it.
you don't
Yeah,
read
don't
it.
you look at a bill?
Oh, I get it, but it goes right into my file.
So why look
But
at
at
it?
work, I get it, you know, so I have no, so I read it. And I'm right away to open it, and say, well, what's the city got now?
Look at the-
But at home, I read it at work, so I won't, but I'm
My-
on an auto pay. Unless I'm curious to see how much my heat bill costs, then you open it up.
It was just something I got, and it wasn't, I don't think it was city, it was just something I got, and I started reading through it, and I'm like, that was a week ago, and I just got it, but it was something that happened a week ago.
So I can probably tell you one thing.
So even with, they mail
if I
stuff,
was-
it's behind.
If I was Houston's Greenhouse, cause they put an ad in the Thanksgiving, the week of Thanksgiving DCI. Okay, it didn't come out the day before Thanksgiving, the shopper came out the day after Thanksgiving, Friday.
Nice.
Okay, and that's when it came to the mail. Now, if you read it Friday or Saturday,
You already missed it.
Houston's already had their open house.
Yeah, we
So-
didn't get it until Monday, because of the holiday.
You know, so that's a case where.
And maybe that's, maybe,
You know,
I don't know what it was, I got something and it
Yeah,
wasn't
but
ready
that
to
was one of
pass.
the things, like, I wonder what Bruce over there said about, you know, really, it just, but that's timing, that's the business getting in at the right time, knowing when it comes out, I mean, there's so many different variables, but you're right, sometimes like, oops, missed that.
And it's getting hard.
Every year I try to order a tree, but I never know when the tree stuff is due, so I miss it every time. I'm bored, I should know, kidding. That was a joke.
Okay.
For the forestry department.
So, but,
Oh,
anyways.
Are you the head of the forestry department now? Ever gonna
We
have
should,
one?
I make a, I can't recommend anything, okay, but, you know, we got a lot of forestry stuff and trees that aren't part of our Parks and Rec, I think we need to review that. With the new city administrator to consider it. Thank you, Mrs. Gregg.
Anything else on the forestry?
I'll second it.
Hey, you do have somebody on the wagon, okay.
Anything else? Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
When's the next meeting?
Correspondence, excuse me, I forgot. Correspondence, anything else? Anybody else have any questions, concerns, anything?
And I wasn't here last month, but I want everybody to know that, we had that Lions dedication at the park shelter last month, and Ronnie did an awesome job explaining to the Lions what the future plans were and everything, and they just jumped on board. It was great. We didn't have a huge turnout, but, you know, but we still had, newspaper out there taking pictures, and we did a article.
Yep.
And everything, so that could be it with the wall too. Maybe you need to get somebody out there to take some pictures and show them around. But, and I thank you again for being out there, it was great.
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't make it, so.
No, it was good.
I sent my cardboard cutout of me out, I don't know if anybody took it out there or not.
It was too skinny blue.
Okay.
You
I'll
and the
make a note.
suspenders don't count.
Anything else? Okay,
Next meeting date?
yep,
Be the
next meeting
third.
date would be the third
Tuesday
Tuesday
of
of
the month.
January, which would be the 21st, January 21st.
Okay. I probably won't be here, I'll be in Olathe, Kansas,
Okay?
but I'll know more.
Other than that, I move to adjourn, I don't move, do I hear adjourn? Motion
I'll
for
make that
adjournment?
motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All carried.
All right. Put it on the agenda. Okay, tomorrow. Input. No, that's the other thing.